Hello, folks. Welcome to our first episode. You can tell this is our first one. We're doing a little different. It's our first episode of Our Haunted Travels Behind the Haunting. I am your host, Shawn Donnelly.
And I'm your co-host, Marianne Donnelly. And this is the second time we said that tonight.
Yeah, we already started the show about 5 minutes ago and then looked down and it said it wasn't working.
It said it was waiting for Panic D videos, so something didn't jive.
There's something going on in the YouTubeosphere tonight.
Yes.
Something's going on.
Oh, dear.
Oh, man. So, yeah. Sorry about that. We're doing things a little bit different. Normally on our Saturday show, I just hit stream, boom, and it goes. But this one I created an event, and supposedly we had to do a couple other things to get this to work. So, anyways, welcome. Tonight we're doing something different. A little late night. Got a little dark atmosphere going on. Got the frogs going on outside the window.
Yes.
A little creepy stuff going on here. So... all right, let's wait around here and see who's all with us. I see we got T-Throng. Hello.
Yes.
We got Flebin Epic. Oh, house burned down on Friday the 13th. That's not good.
Oh, that's not good.
Susie Channel. Hello.
All right. Well, welcome. T-Throng. Did you see what they wrote?
Watching the pole dancing?
On Fuchsia Studios, yes. We were just doing that too, so we probably should have run in here a couple minutes earlier.
Well,
but
now I know what to do. You have to hit to go to the next screens to start.
Yes. So we have
Sorry.
There's a different method.
You learn by your mistakes.
Different method to non-live stream.
So can everyone hear us okay? Can everyone see us okay? According to the screen, it says we're fine. Can you guys hear us?
Hi, Fuchsia Studios. All right, so Flub and Epic, we are in Youngstown, Ohio. I'm not sure if you wanted to know from us or if you want to know from our guests, but any of the guests, feel free to log into wherever you are from as well.
We usually from where they're from, or say where they're from.
Say where they're from in the chat.
It's late night.
That's right.
It's late night.
But normally we ask for that, so
normally
thanks
on Saturday
for.
We say go ahead and check in the chat and let us know where you're
thanks
from.
for asking us for that.
This screen here, we're.
Oh, I think maybe he was asking us because he says it sounds like Arkansas tree frogs.
Now we are in Youngstown, Ohio.
Yes.
And my neighbor decided to try to dig a pond and it filled up with frogs.
It did. And so we have
we get to listen
every
to it
night, all night long, yes.
The first couple years, it took a little while to get used to it. But we did.
Yeah, I'm pretty used to it now. Hey, Andrew Kitchens, how are you?
Hello, Andrew. We're just waiting around here just for a few minutes. Let people jump in. Let me ask you guys, because I did things a little bit different. I think most of you guys are subscribers to us. Did you get a notification a half hour before the show started? Because I did things different this time, and I did it so it shoots out that notification. If you did get that notification saying, hey, we're going live in a half hour, please let us know in the chat. Because if it didn't work... I'm not doing it this way again.
So the answer is yes. Boris is pole dancing back here.
Boris is pole dancing.
So that seems to be quite a theme here tonight. In live streams.
Let me see if I can fix this one because this is cutting off his head.
It's cutting off Boris's head in that one. All right. Well, that's probably because we wanted to see, us at some point. But, so Boris is back there. He's pole dancing as usual. And then Chris Mohan. Hello.
Hello, Chris.
Back in Ohio himself.
That's right. Chris, did you get a notification? Andrew thinks he did. Pusa, did you guys get one? A notification that we were going live a half hour before?
They've been way too busy to figure that out.
Well, it's in the notifications. I set this up a little different, so. And I didn't know you had.
Then I happened to look over at my laptop, and I'm like, "Sweetie, it says it's waiting for Panic D videos." So he went and did some little magic, and here we are! Ta-da! Chris Mohan said he did not.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong then.
I don't know. Oh, well, let's see here. What's going on? We have Flub and Epic. December, Friday the 13th, right before Christmas. Was that Friday the 13th your house burned down? That was so sad. And you were like 8. Oh my goodness. That had to be the worst Christmas ever. I'm so sorry to hear that. Aw.
All right, that screen's not working either.
That made me sad, and I almost don't know what to say now. What are you doing?
I just keep talking.
All right.
New
so
show.
Flub and Epic is ringing the bell. So that's good. Thank you very much.
All right, ring that bell. Okay, folks. Hey, everyone who's in here, let's share this on out on your social media.
All right,
Let's
Andy.
get more people here in the party, and we'll get started on the presentation here shortly. Tonight we are talking about Ceely
Rose. Yes. And we have Andy's Journeys joining us from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
I'm going to try this, folks. Let's see if the chat comes up. It should.
Okay. That just reminds me when I was a little kid, we used to watch Chattanooga Choo Choo, the movie that had the song in it, Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Try this.
Anyway, that reminds me of that. So, how are you doing out there in Chattanooga? And Pusha Studios at Panic D Videos, Our Haunted Travels. I set the reminder and it told me you're on, but you did not before that. So whatever you did not come through. So
let's see how this works. Yeah, see that cuts off Boris's head. Just see his pelvic region.
I have to say, before we get started, at Pusha Studios, the other day when you asked us to tweet a picture out, the first one that Boris sent, I deleted it because it was only of his pelvis that came through on the thing, because you know how it changes the shape of the picture. Huh. And so I deleted it and he took a different one. I'm just saying.
Had to keep it clean.
Yes.
All right.
So we have PSPR is here.
PSPR.
And Andy's Journey says that they're doing pretty good. Haven't been able to film in a couple weeks for their channel. We ought to come there and check out Hales Bar Dam. Sounds like a haunted location for us.
Send us a tweet if you
have a location for us.
Have a location or anything. Our Twitter, which is not on any of these screens, is at Panic Database. And you can send us messages on there. And I got to redo these screens. I'm sorry, folks. I was busy on Pusha Studios trying to win the adult Pictionary. I was going to come in here and fix these screens up a little bit, but that's okay. It's all good.
Yes.
It's all right.
It's all right.
All right. Are we ready to get rolling?
I think
Are you guys ready in chat for our presentation about Ceely Rose?
I think we've wasted enough time.
Should I use Boris's voice?
No, that would destroy the whole persona if they comes out of your mouth. That's like when you told somebody the other day that somebody in this room was tweeting for Boris. That was like you ruined it for that too. Gosh.
We're all family here. They all get it.
Oh, goodness.
All right, everyone, smash that like button and share this out, right? We're ready to roll. Of course, we do work in education, so we do have a PowerPoint. All right, tonight we are talking about the story
of Ceely Rose.
Yes. Anybody hear about Ceely Rose before we mentioned it on our channel at all? Anybody in chat? I just thought of this. In our channel, okay, we have PSPR Paranormal, we have Abracas. Mm-hmm. Any other paranormal investigators? Paranormal investigators should have heard about them.
Aber says they found the actual Trestle Bridge, not the Trestle Park. It's not in Trestle Park. like their previous
he's talking
videos.
about what his investigation.
Other than that,
Abacus and PSPR Paranormal. Have you heard about Ceely Rose? Ceely Rose and Malabar Farms was featured on an episode of Ghost Hunters. I don't believe Ghost Adventures was there. Yeah, we're on housekeeping. Go back to us and talk here for a second.
Okay.
Actually, Malabar Farms is in Lucas, Ohio, which is about an hour and 40 minutes from us. We were there twice, right?
I think I was only there once.
You and I went, then we went back for the ghost hunt with Mike and Lee. We were there once before.
We were there once before?
I thought we were.
I don't remember that.
I don't think we were there for the ghost thing.
PSPR says yes.
Okay.
And Flub and Epic is saying Cleo Green. So I'm not sure if they're talking about the new color scheme. This is the color scheme for...
Cool green. I think it was saying cool green. No, Ceely green. I don't know.
I think it's kind of like Ceely Rose.
Oh, Ceely green.
Yeah,
this green, is the new color scheme for this series.
It's for this series.
Yeah, we're going to try to...
I think you should have had green behind us, too.
We try to walk the line of being not too creepy. I don't know what other word to use. Morbid. Okay, we try not to be morbid. We are morbid people.
I like morbid.
She likes morbid. But we try not to do that on our channel. But I think in some cases we need to. And Ceely Rose is one of those. So, it is what it is. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping here before we move on. A couple things I want to point out to you guys. Get this to work. We are live, so there is no editing. So I apologize ahead of time if I say something stupid or wrong. Marianne will smack me under the table and correct me.
And sometimes I'll even do it where you can see it.
Yeah. So that take bets if you want. How many times am I going to hit tonight?
There we go.
All right. So I already asked you guys to do this. Please share this out on your social media. Let's get some more people in here. That would be awesome. Next thing I need to say is we will be covering a little bit. Yeah, we're going to cover some sensitive material. Okay. So just letting you guys know this is one of the reasons why we're doing this late night. For us, 10 p.m. Eastern is late for us.
It's very late for me, especially when I work all day.
They can't see you. The slides are on. So
I don't have to...
You finally talk to the camera, but they can't see you. So they can hear you. And I have a typo here, so I apologize. All content being presented will be available in a link on the location page on panicd.com, which I have a link in the description. So as we go over this stuff, if you guys want to read some of the articles and things like that, is you can follow the links, and they are linked to the Ceely Rose house on Panic D. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to present. We're going to do like a presentation, but while we're doing it, if you guys have questions, and we'll stop the presentation, respond to the questions, and there's pauses in the presentation as well. So we're going to ask for feedback during the presentation. Just like I said, have you heard about the story before? And some of the other things that we're going to talk about here. And if you would, after the live stream's over, please come back to this video once it's done processing and leave us a comment. That helps us out as far as the video being popular or somewhat with the algorithm. It's very, very well appreciated when you guys come do that. Just say, hey, you guys suck. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Just leave some sort of comment. That would be awesome. Okay.
All right. So just before you get started, your hair looks good.
That's right.
That's what.
I got it cut just for you.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Who said that? PSPR?
I think it was PSPR. And then there's a big conversation going about cottage cheese in the chat.
That's good. We're going to give you a different little...
All kinds of different things that are going on in the chat.
It's going to make you, next time before you go and dig in a bowl of cottage cheese, you're going to go,
Yes. So I'm not sure if they knew a little bit. They watched one of our videos earlier in the week or not, or they just knew about it.
You
but
don't watch our videos.
I don't watch our videos.
Why would they watch our videos?
I know.
I mentioned that you heard me read the script. I'm sorry. You heard Boris read the script for Ghost Stories and Folklore and said, don't eat the cottage cheese.
Yes.
So these parapeeps, these loved ones that we have right now in the chat watched our video. You didn't.
I'm going to say that's a big possibility.
That's okay, folks. She's going to tick me off at some point, and the duct tape's coming out, and she's going on the chair, and I'm going to queue up all of our videos, and she's going to have to watch them. It has happened before. Not watching the videos.
Yeah, when I was getting my master's degree, I had to do some final work, and I had to do all kinds of stuff, and it was supposed to be like 20 pages of questions and things. Let's see if she tells the story correctly. And I didn't want to sit there and just work and do it. So I kept getting up and going out of the room, and he was over at my mom and dad's house where I was working on it, and they were working on something outside. Working on the deck.
I was starving and wanted to take you to dinner.
And I wasn't finished with my work yet, so I still had to do it. And I kept getting up and going get a snack. It wasn't cottage cheese, but I was getting up and going and getting a snack, and I go out and see what they were doing, and he eventually is like, seriously, I want you to just get this done so that we could go out. And he duct taped me. He duct taped me to the chair till I finished
you got your paper done,
paper.
Didn't you? Got the paper done.
Oh,
I got to go
goodness. Eat. And by the way, I did very well on that paper, by the way.
That's right. I made her concentrate. My wife is a great procrastinator. What is that word?
Yeah.
In counseling?
Self-defeating.
Self-defeating. So, Pusha, if you're here, you might know what that means.
Yes.
She definitely has that.
But Pusha Studio said that her mom used to make her cottage cheese snowmen every morning for breakfast with cookie hats, which is super cute.
Well, I warned you ahead of time about this story.
But after this story, some people might stop eating cottage cheese for a couple days.
Yeah, or taste it funny. Are we going to go through the story?
Yes, and PSPR, though, says they never had cottage cheese. What kind of a life have you grown up with?
After this story, you'll never eat it. Trust me. So let's talk about Ceely Rose.
My parents didn't mind.
Let's talk about Ceely Rose.
All right, let's talk about Seeley.
There she is in all of her beauty. This is the only picture I have found, the actual photograph of Ceely Rose. And I'm going to tell you when this was taken here in a little bit. That's kind of sad, okay? Mm-hmm. So, her correct name is Celia Frances Rose. She was born in 1873 and actually lived to an old age, 1934. She's been described as having the body of a young woman, but the mentality of an 8-year-old.
Yes, she was.
Are you paying attention?
I am.
Okay.
I am multitasking.
All right. She actually murdered her father, brother, and mother through poisoning. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, what do we know from our research for women committing murder? In most cases, it is poison.
That is correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is the choice of women.
Okay, except for Lizzie Borden, but well, that's not this show. That's a different show.
Lizzie supposedly tried to
You're
do
right.
that.
You're right. She supposedly started with poisoning. But anyways, she also attempted murder of the neighbors.
Yes,
okay?
She did.
So she's got triple homicide and attempted murder.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct.
She was at the age of 24 when she was arrested. Which, by the way, that picture you are seeing right now, the only known picture of Ceely Rose is her arrest picture. That's the picture of her when she was arrested at the age of 24.
Yes, and notice how she has her arms crossed. She's sitting there so defiant, like, okay, you arrested me, and...
She was found not guilty by reason of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, Ceely typically kept to herself. She was made fun of in school and didn't have any friends. She was a loner.
Yes, because she had such a low mentality level, low academic abilities in school, and she would often get made fun of in school by the children, or they just wouldn't talk to her.
Yeah.
So they avoided her a lot.
And she had no other crimes on her record.
So when she decided to kill her family and attempt at killing her neighbors, she had not had any other issues previous.
Right. Right. So that gives you kind of a little bit of a picture about Ceely Rose and what happened. And we're going to dive deeper into the actual case. Marianne has some stuff that she's going to read to you, which is an excerpt of the way things went down. We also have how she was actually, they found out that she actually did it. Because if you think about this, she was mentally challenged. They actually, even her mother, before her mother passed away, didn't think that she did it. You know,
or at least tried to cover up that she did it.
Right. True. So, yeah, it's a disturbing case. Now, I do have to point out, if you guys haven't watched our Ghost Stories and Folklore about the hauntings of the locations associated with Ceely Rose, there are actually four different locations. In the Ghost Stories and Folklore, which there's a link down in the description, mainly talks about three of them, which is the Malabar barn, the Ceely Rose house, and Guy Berry's house. Those are all located on the same property, basically. But there's also reports of Ceely Rose in Lucas County Cemetery, where she's buried. Okay? And we'll talk about that a little bit.
And that's a different location.
Yeah, that's where she actually spent the rest of her life. So let's go a little bit more into the description of Ceely. And these are from different reports, newspaper articles, books, things like that. So before I move on, I know I asked if anybody heard about Ceely before. I don't think there's any like nursery rhymes or anything associated with like there's with Lizzie.
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't heard any.
No.
Or I probably would have already used it because I'm morbid like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Or as someone else in the chat had said, macabre.
Did anybody in the chat say they caught the Ghost Hunters episode?
Yes.
Who said that?
I believe it was PSPR, and Abra said they thought they did.
Okay. I don't know what to ask them in chat. This is where I was going to ask a chat question, but I don't know what to ask. So let's move on.
Because there's only a couple that have really seen it. So.
Okay. So we'll move on.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit of better description of Ceely. She became more antisocial as she grew older. No friends and acquaintances. And this also stems to when she was at the mental facility too. The older she got, the more withdrawn she became. Many days she would spend in the woods or perched upon a mossy stone. And she would do it that she would sit there so that nobody would notice her. Okay? And just kind of like be obscure to reality, so to speak. And again, it got progressively worse as she got older. She wouldn't normally help out at home.
Yes, and that kind of irritated her father.
Yes. She would just like to go out and play or go out in the woods and, you know, that kind of thing. She wouldn't help out her mother.
Right.
Her father was actually quite old. Ceely was 24, and her father was 69 when she killed him. But he was older.
Yes.
I don't know. I couldn't find how old the mother was.
No, I didn't either.
Well, her brother was much older too.
Yes. Yeah.
In his 40s.
Yes, she was a late baby.
Do you want to read this description? This is out of a newspaper.
She grew into womanhood slowly and has been regarded as a callow girl until the last year or two. Her figure is stout, plump, and well-rounded, but lacks grace. She has a well-shaped head and regular features, but her intelligence seems to be mechanical or animal-like.
So that is actually from a newspaper in the late 1800s.
And that's what the townspeople really thought of her.
Yeah. It's kind of sad. It's really sad, the way she was treated. And if you think about it, too, back in those days, you know, even the early 1900s, when somebody had that mental state or actions or something like that, in most cases, they were institutionalized.
That is true. They were, or they were hidden away. But she was actually shown. They sent her to school and everything. So
yes, she was well read. I mean, she would read quite a bit. She would read spiritual papers. She would read books. Things like that. But when it came to like common everyday things, she was how do I put it? She was like a child. You know, she just didn't quite fit in, so to speak.
Yeah, she didn't fit in, and she didn't really want to do chores and things like that. She wanted like
to be a
typical child.
But she did have a sign of intelligence. So I'm thinking, as I read all this stuff and I reviewed the case and everything, I think she had some form of autism.
Mm-hmm. Because, as you said, she
Asperger's.
Also liked to read a lot. Even though she had mental difficulties, she was an avid reader.
Right. So there was some intelligence, but
maybe not.
You know, back then they
emotional
really didn't know how to
either
describe it.
Right.
So. All right, so we'll move on to our next section. All right, so you guys got a good picture of Seeley
and what she was
kind of like what she was like.
They seem to believe that she was a special needs child, which is very true.
Yeah.
She would have been labeled as such today. She.
But you got to remember too, she wasn't a child. She was in her 20s.
So, I think.
You know, in the family, okay, the Rose family weren't very social. They kind of kept to themselves, and probably because they were protecting Seeley, I would assume so. The brother, Walter, never married. He was 40, still lived at home. He worked helping harvesting, I believe. And the father, David, who was he was like semi-retired, but he ran a grist mill.
Right, the town's grist mill.
Yeah, and so they were hard workers, but they weren't real sociable. And I think they kind of kept to themselves, maybe to protect Seeley.
Yeah, even with their neighbors, they say that they really didn't just go and be extremely neighborly.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't real excited to go and meet up with other people, and they like to just...
All right, so let's talk motive. Why did she do it? Why did she do what she did? Which we mentioned, she poisoned father, mother, and actually it was father, brother. They died first, and then the mother, she re-poisoned the mother.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
And we're going to call this Seeley's Romance.
All right.
Okay, so Marianne's going to read something to you that's an excerpt out of a book.
It's a little...
/ play, so to speak.
It basically gives the idea and the understanding of why Seeley would do something like this. So remembering her childlike qualities and things like that, but having an adult body. One day, her neighbor, Guy Barry, was plowing in the cornfield, and Celia, her real name was Celia. Everybody called her Seeley, but Celia actually approached him from the wooded lots on a wreath of flowers, and she shyly began to talk to him about her lonesome life. And he had in turn started to talk to her about the plowing the fields and things that, the crops and all that. And she said, "You surprise me, Guy, the way you grow," as she seated herself on top of the low snake fence, and she reached out to break off a twig from an overhanging tree. And this is the customary way of addressing little boys in rural neighborhoods. The young man was flattered, of course, and turning his team of mules and oxen, he plowed to the other side of the field, expecting that Seeley would be gone when he came back to the other side. Of course, that was not the case. So he was utterly surprised at the admiration for him by his strange, odd little neighbor. And then they started to talk, and he often listened to her rambling conversations and things like that, which turned into professions of love to him. He apparently was one of the only individuals who took notice of her and would actually talk to her. Supposedly one of the first boys to actually speak back to her.
Gave her some attention.
Giving her attention wasn't attention that was bad either. He wasn't making fun of her. He was listening to her,
nice to her,
being neighborly and nice.
Yeah.
Yes. But she took that for love. And so she did not take it extremely well when he was, say, "Oh no, that's, not what's going on here." But eventually he understood that she really did seem to love him, and that things just weren't going to work out that way. And so he said that he was flattered, but he wasn't going to be able to marry her. And he didn't really seem to care whether she showed up or not, but he definitely wanted her to feel like somebody would listen to her, but he didn't want to have romantic relations with her or any of the sort. And eventually it became a subject of gossip around that they had been talking, and she started professing that she was going to marry him, telling everyone that within 3 years they were going to be married and all those kinds of things, and that they were having some clandestine meetings. So then they started
making fun of Guy about it. Too.
And yes, and so then he kind of got fed up with it and decided he was not going to marry her ever. Yeah. And he needed to let her know that. And so he was either going to leave town or he was going to tell her.
He told his father that something has to be done because it was getting pretty bad. I mean, he couldn't go out in the field or anything without, and he was trying to tell her nicely, that kind of thing. But he finally just went to his father and said, "I'm going to have to leave town. I'm going to have to leave. You're going to have to find somebody else to do my work." Mm-hmm. And, we got to remember, folks, we got to go back to the late 1800s, okay?
Right.
So this what was the name or the date of the thing? I should know that. I think it was 1896.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Was it 1896? Mm-hmm. Woo! Brain's working
Good
tonight.
Job.
Back then, that's making the money for the family. And then if the 18-year-old boy says he's going to have to leave town, that's a big deal with the family income. So he went to his dad and said, "I'm going to have to leave, or, something's going to have to be done." Now, remember I said that the Rose family wasn't real social. Now, they lived right next to the Berry family, okay? Mm-hmm. They really didn't speak to each other that much, okay? So imagine the shock when Mr. Berry confronts Mr. Rose and says, "You got to do something about your daughter because I can't lose my son off the farm here. I need him here. You're going to have to take care of this." Now, the conversation was peaceful, and he said, "Yes, I'll take care of it." Mm-hmm. I might be jumping on your stuff here, but
it's okay.
So Mr. Rose, David Rose, never really disciplined Seeley.
Right.
You know, he just never did.
She didn't do her chores. Okay, she's just Seeley.
This is where it gets kind of gray.
Right.
Okay,
there's two different
there's actually 3 or 4 different conflicting stories of what happened. Okay. Some of the reports say that Guy's brother, who was 12 years old, told Seeley, hey, he's not going to marry you. Leave him alone, that kind of thing. Some of the stories say that the little brother told Guy's mother, who got on to his dad. You know, it's gray as to what happened. Either way, Mr. Rose confronted Seeley and said, you gotta stop. Then Walter, her brother, chimed in and said, you gotta stop this, Seeley. And she said, her comment was, fine, I will let it go as long as Mother doesn't find out. That was an actual comment that was recorded. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me that maybe Mother was just a little bit overbearing, which would make sense if she has the challenge of running a household and taking care of Seeley. Mm-hmm. But however it happened, Mother did find out. And things got really bad at home for Seeley.
Mm-hmm. And she goes back then and she hangs out at the fence some more.
Yeah.
And she tells Guy that she's sorry for what she said, that, you know, she will marry someone else. She has other people that will marry her. She doesn't care for anyone but him, but she has other people who will marry her. So that did eventually happen. But that was one day. And, you know, Seeley had this thing where one day she was this and one day it was that, and it didn't quite
in fact, in that same report that you're talking about that's out there, it says she came back the following day. It says, oh, no, I'm sorry for the way I acted yesterday. I'm still in love, that kind of thing like that.
Yes, so she comes back a third day, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, here again comes another gray area as to what actually transpired.
Yes. So some people say that at this point, Guy says to Seeley, you know, Seeley, it would never work out. Our parents would never let us get married, even if we were going to. They would
even
never
if I wanted to
let me
Seeley,
marry you.
Our parents wouldn't allow it.
Mm-hmm. And that
kind of planted the seed.
May or may not have happened.
Yeah.
Some people say that it didn't happen and it was just the dads that got together and chatted. Other people say it was this. Seeley said that Guy did tell her to do this. And then later she retracted the statement.
So let me ask you, kind folks in the chat, okay? We described Seeley, and we did that for a reason, leading up to this question. And we told you how Seeley felt about Guy. The question that I have is, where would she get the idea to poison her family? Like, to actually do it. So, there are reports that said that Guy told her maybe that was an excuse type thing.
Yeah. I think he was trying to let her get down easy.
Was it something that her father said that said, I will never allow this to happen? Or the mother, we're not going to let it to happen, or something. But where did she get the idea to do what she's going to do? And we're going to tell you here next what she did. Are you ready? So, if you got little kids, tell them to go away. Because our next segment is Seeley's Revenge. Take it away there, Mrs. D.
All right. So, on the morning of June 24th, Seeley, who never does chores, helps her mom make breakfast. And this breakfast that she made was cottage cheese.
But what was the word they used?
They didn't.
S.
Yeah, I don't have that information.
Not
I can't remember what it's called though. It wasn't called cottage cheese.
No, but basically it's cottage
that's what
cheese.
it was.
Back then they called
it something different.
Sour case or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I think that might be it.
Was it sour case?
That might be it.
Yeah, which is basically curdled cheese.
Yes, curdled milk.
With milk.
Yep.
Yeah, they ate that for breakfast.
Yes. So she helped
Which
Mom.
tastes a little bitter, anyways. If you've had cottage cheese, it does. It's curdled milk, so it tastes a little bitter.
Yeah. So she helped make this, and David and Walter, David the father and Walter the brother, they both ate a lot of this cottage cheese, and
They were hard
Mrs.
workers.
Rose not quite as much, which kind of makes sense. They were getting ready to go work out in the field and take care of all the
Which we're gonna do this
duties.
again. If you guys like this and this gets well received, we're gonna do this again about the Lizzie Borden case. But doesn't this sound familiar
It does.
to Lizzie Borden?
It is very similar to Lizzie Borden.
Extremely similar. But
So she.
where did the idea come from?
So she goes ahead and she gives them all this breakfast, and then later on she throws out what's left over into the yard. Okay. Shortly after breakfast, Dad gets sick and he has to come home. He starts vomiting, not
Very
doing
badly.
well. And they call in a physician from down the road, and he gets picked up by a neighbor as he's coming home. They carry him home, and the doctors are called, and they
Same thing happened
decide
with the brother too.
that it might be arsenic poisoning.
Yeah, they had symptoms of arsenic.
Mm-hmm.
So the brother Walter was off somewhere else working,
Right.
and he was getting sick, and he was trying to make his way to the doctor. He fell in the road and passed out. They picked him up and carried him back home, but the doctors were already there.
Yeah.
So
Now, Mr. Rose, he was very, very sick, and he was the first to die. And this didn't happen until 6 days later on June 30th.
6 days of agony.
6 days of writhing in agony with arsenic poisoning. And then after 5 more days, Walter dies. So he's sick for a longer period, but it kind of, to me, makes sense. The dad is older. He's, not necessarily as healthy as Walter. So Walter's able to withstand it a little bit more. Now, Mom, she was sick, but not that bad, and she started to recover. She hadn't eaten as much as the guys either, though. And so she starts to get sick, but then suddenly, about 2 weeks later, she gets super sick again, and eventually she dies. Between that time, though, suspicion had fallen on Ceely. They had come and they said, hey, this seems like, how did she not get sick? Everybody else is sick.
She didn't eat the cottage cheese.
She didn't eat the cottage cheese. And so she hadn't gotten sick, and so she had been the person they were looking at. Now, Mrs. Rose didn't know she was sick a little bit, but she didn't realize that the others were even so sick that they had died until a couple days later.
Yeah, they didn't
died,
tell her
because they were trying to make her well first.
Yeah.
But she did eventually then also suspect Seeley, and she sort of started to protect Seeley. It's your daughter. Yes, she killed your husband. Yes, she killed your son, but she's still your daughter. Mm-hmm. And so she says, you know what? we're just going to pick up and we're out of here. As soon as I get healthy enough, we're going to just pack up and we're going to leave town.
Which again brings up another question. You know, that whole part right there just don't sound right either. You know what I mean? It just don't. Okay, keep going.
It's your daughter, though.
I know, but we'll bring up that.
Okay. So she does talk to Seeley about this, though. And she says, how can you have done such an awful thing? And she says, God help you if you actually did. And she said, why, Ma, what makes you ask me such a question? If you had not said anything about the rat poison, nobody would have suspected me at all. So her mother had brought up the fact that, well, maybe this arsenic poisoning came from the rat poison. And she said, look at me, child. Look at me in the face and tell me the truth. Seeley just hung her head. And then suddenly, now Mrs. Rose gets super sick again and dies.
Nope.
So there's also some people who say that it wasn't rat poison, that she actually soaked fly paper that was used to catch flies. She soaked that and then poured that on top of the cottage cheese. So it was either rat poison or fly paper poison, but both of them had the materials that would produce arsenic poisoning.
But I did find something to kind of debate. We heard about the fly paper when we were there.
Yes.
We were talking about the fly paper.
Yes.
But as you keep going through this, their investigations,
yes,
they found a pepper grinder, which was used to grind up rat poisoning.
Yes.
Out in the yard.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so was that used? There really wasn't a way to tie back to Seeley.
And the question for me is, at that point, was the fly paper the first round and the pepper grinder the second round? Because she did this multiple times.
That's right.
You know, it could have been that way, where it could have been both, and that may be how we came to hear the story of both. I don't know.
True.
So,
very true.
What do you guys think in the chat? How do you think that she decided upon poisoning her family and the method for poisoning her family?
I wish I could bring up Google. Like, if somebody could bring up Google, can you look at the date of Lizzie Borden case? Do you know what the date of Lizzie Borden case is?
1892.
And this was
1896.
Okay. And she was well read.
She was well read.
And read newspapers. And Lizzie Borden was a national case.
Yes, she was.
Is it possible, and I'm throwing this theory out in chat, is it possible she read about the Lizzie Borden case because they did report some of the transcripts from the trial, and they were talking about the poisoned mutton that the parents ate, and it wasn't strong enough to kill them? Where did she get the idea to do this? That's one of, like, okay, your parents, okay, well, we'll get a timeline, but this isn't on there. Your parents are stopping us from being wed, okay? Somehow she gets the idea, well, I'll just eliminate the parents. And I'll throw this out there too. Even if she was the one that did it. But, you know, nothing's reported that anybody else would have a motive to do this. You know, but Mr. Rose was a businessman, so he could have ticked somebody off, and they pinned it on Seeley. I don't know. That's a conspiracy theory. But, okay, so then she gets the idea to eliminate the parents, and then gets the idea to use the rat poisoning to hide it in cottage cheese that you wouldn't taste it. They ingested that. Or soak flypaper to get arsenic, it just doesn't all add up. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a true cut case, which is quite creepy and interesting at the same time. Or I can be completely off base here because I do have a headache and I've been up real early this morning. All right, so we're going to chat. We're going to chat for a little bit.
We are in chat. Yes.
Okay.
So, Pusha Studios looked up the date for Lizzie Borden, and of course, I was right. The Lizzie lady, 1892. So yes, August 4th of 1892 was the correct answer. And let's see. Some people think that it could have been a combination of both. That maybe there was something else as well, because it took quite a long time for some of them to get sick enough to die. That was the date of the original poisoning. But if everybody was sick, it makes sense that Seeley may have continued to give them more food, like prepare the meal or bring it to them or whatever.
Okay, so here's another thing that we need to throw out there too, okay? Just so you guys know, and if you're not really know much about history or this research and stuff that we do, or we have done, okay? So back in, which is our favorite time period anyways, 1850s to the early 1900s. Back in that time, it was common in the summer months for families to get sick.
Yes, they called it
common.
Summer sickness.
They called it summer sickness because they didn't have refrigeration. Okay? Well, they did, but not very well. So they would make something like cottage cheese or something like that and leave it sit out. And most of these families would eat it until it was gone. There was no wasting of food. So they would get food poisoning, and they call it summer sickness. They didn't realize, hey, you're just eating rotten food. Mm-hmm. So, again, where does somebody with the mentality of Seeley get like this perfect crime and then try to hide it? You know, that's weird. Mm-hmm. Creepy. Mm-hmm. All right, so if anybody's joining us, let me kind of recap what we got going on here. We are talking about the case of Ceely Rose, Behind the Paranormal, and we just kind of laid out what went down and what happened. And if you haven't done it yet, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. And I got to figure out how you're going to get notified half hour before we go live, because obviously that didn't work what I did. And this is a new series, so we want to get deeper into some of these hauntings. Not everyone, but some of them are quite interesting. Some of them we have volumes of stuff. The Ceely Rose was interesting to us. It's local, and we've actually gone to Seeley's house. We've gone to Malabar Farms. We've gone to the barn. And actually, tomorrow night, what is this, Thursday? Tomorrow night's video, we're going to go over like our experiences when we were there. And was just, there's stuff that happened while we were there, and some of the history of the actual building of the Ceely Rose house. But we wanted to cover the case more. We wanted to come up with a series like this so that we could delve into some of these cases a little bit more, because just the 3 videos on some of them aren't enough. And we got Lizzie coming up. Lizzie's going to be done this summer. Yeah, that's Marianne's favorite. Some of the big ones we kind of brushed over, but we could double back and do Behind the Haunting on. So, if you guys like it. If you guys don't like it, then we will just keep the creepy stuff to ourselves. I hope we don't lose subscribers over this. I hope they like this kind of stuff.
So I just have to point out that there's a lot of people in chat. Val's here, you know.
Oh, hi, Val.
Yeah,
I can't
Keith
see
Wrong's here.
chat. If you guys see me on and I don't have my glasses, I can't see like more than 3 foot arm's length without my glasses. So I see the chat running, but I can't read it. I don't know why.
But I have to point out that Pusha Studios, I'm pretty sure we've got mainly Ksenia, but we might have Andrew on there with us too, but she is like right on everything tonight because she has the same ideas that you were talking about earlier.
What?
So she's been talking about, the cottage cheese pretty much for the evening because she also grew up having cottage cheese in the mornings for breakfast and things like that. And she says, cottage cheese doesn't go bad, it just gets more and more and more sour. So I said, yeah, and that's pretty much, then if she put that poison in there, maybe they wouldn't have tasted it. And she says it also raises a question. If she was considered intellectually severely disabled, she wouldn't be able to figure out and plan this all out.
I'm with you.
And that is exactly the conversation that we've had. And you brought this up even a couple hours ago. The same thing. Could she really have done this?
She was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Mm-hmm. That's hard to pull that off. But she had an attorney. Now, mind you, she killed her family. Her guardians, people looking after her. She had no aunts and uncles and stuff like that. But she got an attorney. So somebody said, you got to get an attorney. And everything at their home, everything was auctioned off, including the home. Because when they arrested her, she only went back to the house once before the trial was over. And everything was gone. So I don't know that she even got, I don't know how that, it was probably a court-appointed attorney, I would assume, but I don't know. There's not a lot of recorded history about her finances, like, Lizzie Borden and them, but it just doesn't make sense. When you see this stuff on like TV, the ghost stories and stuff like that, or ghost shows and things like that, but they don't go into depth. And that's what I love about our research and what we do, is because you see them and then if you think about it in a minute, it's like something's not clicking. And then we dive into it a little bit deeper. So there's something else going on here. And we'll probably never know because it's probably not recorded somewhere. But all right, so let's just recap the timeline. What?
Okay, I'm just saying that...
Oh, we got more in chat?
Well, yeah,
okay.
Abra says he thinks that the neighbor's son helped her to do it.
You think Guy Berry had some motive behind it?
Mm-hmm. Now,
what would his motive be if he didn't want to marry Seeley, though?
Yeah.
What would, because I thought, okay, yeah, maybe. Or did he plant the seed? Well, just kill him, and here's how you do it.
Yeah.
But why? Why would he do that? Mm-hmm. What's the motive?
Yeah. Now, Seeley did say that he told her to do it.
Yes, she did.
And when she was arrested.
Then she retracted
But then the next day, she retracted that and said, no, he didn't really tell me that.
I think you got some more there before we do the timeline, don't you?
I don't know. Do I? I have a little tiny bit, yeah. So you want me to talk about the confession now?
What do you guys want first? Do you want us to recap the timeline or go over the confession? Let us know in chat.
This is interesting. Doing one of these.
Because we can do it either way.
Doing one of these with.
I do love doing this live. We could have just made a video of this, and it would have been just you and I. It's kind of like doing the podcast,
and it would have been done already.
Yeah, we would have been done. But I love these conversations going back and forth.
And I love that we get to hear what they're thinking, because most of the time we don't get well, he must have helped her, or she couldn't have done that because she wasn't smart enough. So maybe she was smarter than she was, or just the ideas that are coming through that we think about too.
We actually have these conversations just sitting on the couch, and then we'll be like, okay, now wait a minute. Like I asked you guys, okay, when was the Lizzie Borden case? Let's look that up. Oh man, that was before this one. Maybe she read in a newspaper about Lizzie Borden and Lizzie. Oh, wait, what about, that's what we do. And that's pretty sad, isn't it? But it's fun. But, and then we take it a step further and we go to these places. I wish we could spend more time at these places. I would love to go into a library around Lucas, Ohio, that has the old original newspapers.
Yes, that would be super
If you guys have not seen a newspaper from the late 1800s, it is amazing. Okay, Miss eBay, you need to get us one of those, and then we can show them, because it told everything that was going on in town.
Yeah,
It
they would say,
gossip.
"Oh, Janny and Tommy went to the fair this weekend, and this person was sick, and that person."
Yeah, it would report, "Oh, this so and so has the cold this weekend, and this person's having company in," and that was in the newspaper. That was the social part of it.
Yeah. So those were
now
really
it's called
cool.
Facebook.
Yeah, but that was actually in the newspapers. So anyways, in here, they're saying that they like this, by the way, since you asked them that. They like this format.
Well, we're going to put it to a vote at the end.
And then,
see if we're going to continue on with these.
What else was it? They think that the neighbor's son helped. They think that even that he may have been the planner, that she actually served the breakfast. And I thought I saw something else.
So I don't want to tick anybody off in chat, but I don't believe... Because I can't get in my head why
I
Guy...
saw a recap somewhere.
Why Guy would want her to do this.
Yeah.
Like, what... because if you think about this here a second, okay? Unless it was true, unless Guy maybe wanted to marry her. Now think about this. Here's a theory I'm going to throw out there, okay? Maybe Guy did want to marry her, and maybe the parents didn't want it to happen because the families didn't get along, because maybe Guy was thinking if he got married, Dad's going to be dying soon. He's 69 years old, okay? Brother's like, I don't know what the deal with him is. He doesn't have anybody yet. He's 40. He's still living at home. Mom's got to be pretty close to Dad in age, I would assume, because they have a son that's 40. So she's got to be, what, in her 60s?
55 or 60.
Okay. So maybe he's thinking, okay, we get married, I get their farm. You know what I'm saying?
It's a possibility.
That's a theory.
It is a theory. Yeah.
I cannot find a picture of Guy Berry.
I know you.
I can't.
Looked
I've
all
been
over
looking.
for it
I
too.
found his gravesite in the picture of his gravesite.
Yeah, we can find his
he
grave.
did marry, but he ended up leaving the area.
Yeah.
But.
They don't want us to keep them in suspense anymore,
Okay.
but they do want the recap.
Okay, so we're going to recap the timeline, and then we'll go over the confession.
Then do the confession.
All right, so let's do that. We'll go over the timeline again. And Lincoln Central, you just came in. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. So we're talking about the Ceely Rose story. We're going to recap the timeline. So here we go.
All right.
All right, so June 24th, 1896 was the first poisoning by Celia.
Mm-hmm.
The victims were father, mother, brother.
There's that word, smear case.
Smear case. Smear case. Why couldn't I remember that? Because that's a fun word.
And
Smear case.
it means creamed cheese, but it was basically cottage cheese.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They called it smear case.
Smear case.
Pusha Studios.
Yes.
Is that what they called it in I can't say.
Latvia?
Latvia? Did they call it
Did
smear
they call
case?
it? Yeah. Did they call it smear case, or did they call it cottage cheese?
Okay, June 30th, 1896. David Rose's father dies at the age of 69.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, that was 6 days later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 6 days of agony, which is even worse that 11 days of agony, Walter died. Oh, he was 31. I keep saying he was 40. He was 31. But still.
Still close enough.
Yeah. June 19th. This was the second poisoning of the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And this time arsenic was in bread and milk. So she changed it up a little bit. Didn't put it in a smear case. Put it in some bread and milk.
Mm-hmm.
July 20th. Miss Rebecca Rose, the mother, dies.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That was 5 a.m. on a Sunday. July 30th. Seeley confesses to Tracy Davis adding a false accusation, and we're going to cover the confession here in a little bit, about Guy Berry as deliberately instigating of the murder. She first said that. Okay? Now remember, we covered how serious Seely's... that's a hard thing to say, Seely's mental state was. So when she first confessed, she said that Guy put her up to it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But on August 1st, she retracts that. She retracts that statement. August 12th, the prosecution believes they have enough evidence against her, and they issue an arrest warrant by the court. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about, I think in there too, where did she go? Okay, her parents are dead. She didn't go back to the house. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about where she went.
Mm-hmm.
October 13th, the trial begins. So she's in jail in a jail cell from August 12th to October 13th. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
October 20th, verdict. Only took a week. Only a week. And they came up with not guilty by reason of insanity. She was sentenced to Toledo Asylum, later transferred to State Hospital in Lima, Ohio. Let me flip over just a second because I think...
Okay.
And then the last one, on March 14th, 1934, Ceely Rose dies at the state hospital.
Okay. So, Pusha Studio says that they call it thick milk. Its texture that is smooth but more curdled. And wanted to know, again, why she would poison her mother a second time if her mom wanted to save Seeley. So I said that would, move her away. Her mom wanted to pick up and move away. So if she did that, she would not be able to be with Guy Berry, who she wanted to marry in the first place. So would he have actually left the town as well? We don't know. Like, he threatened to, but would he have actually picked up and left his entire family just because the girl next door thought she was going to marry him? Maybe. But the mom was definitely going to pick up and leave town, and she would have no chance of being with Guy then. So that was in her head why she should do that the second time. Get rid of mom altogether now. Mom's going to try to take me away from here.
All right, so let's go over the confession.
Okay.
All right.
So, some of the neighbors thought you're hot. I'm not hot.
Burning up.
You're always hot. Some of the neighbors really thought that Seeley was definitely the one who did it, and they said, you were actually one of the only girls who talked to her. I want you to go and try to get her to confess. So that's what happened, actually. The attorney, Douglas, ordered an inquest by the coroner, and they led to suspicion of Seeley, but she was just put on watch. She wasn't arrested or anything like that. She was asked, they asked the neighbor, John Oler, to take charge of her and kind of be a home for her while they investigated a little bit more. So he said, I guess they said,
did you say they
yes.
weren't sure how they were going to build the case? Did you get that far yet?
I did not.
Okay, sorry.
But that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, the prosecution really wasn't sure how they were going to build this case. Now, remember, her family's gone. The only one's left is Seeley. You just said that she went to the neighbors to live, right? Mm-hmm. So they weren't quite sure how they were going to build the case. And I think this is going to go on and say how they actually did it. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay. So the coroner then does obviously some testing, and they do chemical and microscopic analyses of the stomach of Mr. David Rose, and they found traces of arsenic. And so this finding was agreed by 6 to 8 physicians in Newville Village, which was 2 or 3 miles south of Pleasant Valley, where they actually lived.
Yeah, Lucas, Ohio. It's actually near Mansfield. Valley.
Yeah.
Now it's called Malabar Farms.
Right, near Mansfield, Ohio, for those people who are familiar with that. And so they decided.
So I'm going to interrupt you. PSPR and Abracus, if you're still in here, Malabar Farms is very close to the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield. It's very close. So you guys know where that's at. Should know where that's at.
Okay. So one of the girls who would actually kind of talk to her a little bit back in the day also had an interest in making sure that justice was done. And so she was asked to see if she could get the truth out of Seeley. Can you worm it out of her somehow? And so Miss Davis actually agreed to go and visit with Seeley at the Ohlers and kind of express sympathy for her and get her on her side, and then, cause her to let her down her guard and see what she could do. And Seeley's complete lack of emotion bothered Miss Davis. You're laughing.
I saw the chat from Paranormal Mama. They say Ohio is famous for their killers. Yeah, we live in Youngstown, Ohio. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We live in Youngstown, Ohio. It used to be the murder capital of the U.S.
Yeah, that was our nickname, Murder Capital USA.
With all the mobsters and Marianne's relatives.
My mother's side is the Italian side.
That's right.
Yeah.
Marianne's mom's Sicilian. Enough said.
Anyhow, so...
We won't go there on our channel. Trust me.
Yeah, back to Seeley.
Too many family members watching. Let's go kill that fat Irishman that chases ghosts. All right, continue, dear.
Anyways, so she gets her starting to talk, and she says,
Shouldn't have said that. You gotta
I'm
start
your
the car
friend.
tomorrow.
I know. I'm your friend. Go ahead, just tell me, did you really do this? And so Seeley says, I do believe you really are my friend. And so she goes ahead and she says, I've known others that did such things because people treated them mean, and anybody, would do such a thing too. And so she lets down her guard enough, and she says, on the night of July 30th, Seeley makes a partial confession implicating Guy Berry, saying he told her to poison the schmear case in order to allow them to get married.
So this confession that this prosecution was going on wasn't like sitting her in the police, like let's see on TV, or maybe somebody's experienced in the chat. I don't know. Hey, I don't judge. But it wasn't like sitting here and like grueling hours of interrogation and things like that. They sent a plant over to befriend Seeley,
right,
and get her to confess.
Yeah.
So this is a conversation that's just going on.
Right, but they had another one of the neighbors hiding behind a hay bale, listening to the whole conversation. So there would be him, and there would also be Miss Davis to kind of say, yes, this is exactly what she said.
Well, some of the reports say hay bale, some of them say a closet, because there was multiple times, too.
Yes, yes. So the confession comes out to Miss Davis then in the barn. And so this is repeated later, according to the prosecutor and Miss Davis, in the presence of someone who was, again, as you said, hidden in a closet. The name of this person was not made public, though. However, it was supposedly another neighbor who also did hear this. And she confessed that she found some rat poison, which had recently been purchased.
Old-fashioned wiretapping.
That's right. There you go, paranormal mama. So she had found some rat poison that had been recently purchased by her brother, and it was in the pantry. She put it into a pepper box, and then she sifted it into the schmear case as she prepared the mixture where the dairy products were kept. And then she kept some of it on her plate and pretended to eat it, but she didn't touch it.
I need to tell you guys something. You're all here and you're going to witness this, okay? But I need to tell you something. I am solely really amazed with my wife, okay? She right now is mentally outlining this printout. You're not reading that.
No.
And I can't do that. Well, but she's like mentally outlining things. That's amazing. I'm giving you a compliment.
Yeah, but let me just say that that's not where I thought you were going to go with this. I thought he was going to go with, I see my wife planning my demise.
I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to bring that up.
But I would like to point out.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
But I would like to point out
buy whatever you want on eBay, dear. I'll get another credit card.
I want to point out, though, that this information that they got in these, like, this is how I did it, she put a lot of planning into this, you know?
Which I don't see how.
How did she do that? And Guy Barry, if he would have said, hey, poison, like, how would he say, okay, now you got to go in your cupboard and see if your brother brought that rat poison. Okay, now you got that rat poison. Okay, good. Put it in the pepper container. Like,
and let me point out again, she wasn't one to be in the house. Mm-hmm. She wasn't one to help out. She wouldn't have been there probably when he bought the rat poison to know it even existed. She would get up in the morning, eat, go out and play all day and come in at night. And so she... Yeah.
It's very, very odd.
It's creepy.
And the
it's
fact
not
that
odd. It's just weird.
The fact that she even knew not to eat it herself, but to put some on her plate and pretend like she was eating.
I hope you guys stick around with us. I know we're getting kind of long, but this is really going to get creepy when I start talking about the paranormal stuff, which I'm going to mention here once we get through this case. But some of my theories about that. But
okay, so we've got the confession and how she did that. Mm-hmm. But then she had to get rid of her breakfast, and that's the extra that got thrown out. She threw that out, and a hen and 7 chickens managed to eat her breakfast, and they died.
And that's how they found the arsenic. They tested the chickens.
Yes, and the bones of those animals, they collected and they tested them as well, and they also had arsenic poisoning.
So I'm going to add even more to that, folks. Seeley brought a cherry pie, over to the Berry's house. And
gave it to
Guy, and she told Guy, don't eat this.
This is not for you. This is just for your parents.
Yeah.
It is not for you. Don't eat it.
So he took it in and told them, while the mother threw it out back. The chickens ate the apple pie.
Cherry
pie. Chickens ate the cherry pie. They died. They tested those chickens. Arsenic poisoning. Mm-hmm. So that was the attempted murder part.
Yes. Now, the covering up of the murders, not only was Mom going to help her out before she knocked her off too, but she said that she took the pepper box and she hid it. And they ended up, it was under dockweed, and they went and they did find that. And Mrs. Rose said that she thought that the stuff tasted a little funny when she gave her the milk and bread the second time around. She thought it tasted kind of funny. And Seeley watched her sprinkle some of the pepper onto her breakfast that Seeley had brought her from the box that she had put it in. And then
was it
Seeley
apple pie?
went
Did somebody look? Was
it
it apple pie or cherry pie? It was a pie. Let's say it was a pie. I don't know if it was apple or cherry.
Sidharth says apple, but it could have just been because they like apple. I'm not sure. Maybe they looked it up and it was
I like apple pie. You like cherry pie?
I like cherry pie. Cherry pie's mine. I would not have been able to throw it out the window. I'd be like, oh, cherry pie.
No way. I would have ate that thing and no problem.
The neighbor brought it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, in her confession, she did say that her mom said that the milk and bread tasted funny. She added some more of the pepper material, but it was really the rat poison in the pepper container. And
thank you, Hollywood Paranormal.
After she went ahead and ate it and got really, really super sick, then apparently she went and she hid that pepper container. So not only did she, do it, she tried to conceal it. She not only did it, but she knew to not eat it herself, but to make it look like she was eating her breakfast. There seems to be a little bit more to her 8-year-old mentality than maybe we.
Let me ask you this,
Miss
detective researcher that seems to find stuff. Is there any way that we could find those court records? I know you're able to find Lizzie's.
Possibly. You'd have to go to probably the historical society in the town, and they might have those records of it. Look in the old newspapers, they might have some recording of it, but I don't know how well the small town courts would have kept the accurate documentation. Like Lizzie's case, I have the trial transcripts, but that was a bigger city.
That was a national,
and it was a national story. Yeah, I don't know.
They may not exist.
I don't know
because then you
that
got
they
all them
would have
fires
had.
where court records and disappeared and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that'd be cool to have
It would be
transcripts
very
from
cool.
that.
Yeah,
We'll have to put that on.
Especially-
We need a whiteboard in here so we could put things.
yeah,
we gotta
things we gotta
find.
look up.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because, in fact, her lawyer did say to her that she needed to watch what she was saying.
Yes. Yes.
So, it would be cool to see if there were any transcripts as like, that's why, Seeley, see this right here? You don't say stuff like this on the stand or whatever. Yeah.
All right, so we got, so what's your guys' favorite pie? Okay, we got cherry, pecan pie, apple pie.
My
Mine's
vote's
apple.
cherry.
I like apple.
Mine's cherry. So we got a couple pecans, an apple, cherry.
All right, so here's another question. A la mode or not a la mode? You want some ice cream on it?
Not a la mode.
Not a la mode. Not cherry pie a la mode is actually pretty darn good. Heated up cherry pie with vanilla ice cream. Yeah. That's good. Because you got that sweet and tart going on. But okay.
I like it better without, because I like to have the pie warm. And then you have the pie warm and the ice cream cold, and it just messes with your mouth.
It's soupy.
Yeah, it gets soupy too much.
Quick.
Yeah. And then
What's that
it's
line
so
from
cold.
Men in Black? About pie.
Let the pie do its work.
That's right. Let the pie do its work.
Yeah.
Sounds like a t-shirt. Let the pie do its work.
So it looks like another apple. And then Andrew Kitchen says yes to everything. So pecan pie, yes. Apple, yes. Ooh, Flub and Epic says rhubarb pie.
Whipped cream, yeah. Whipped cream on pumpkin pie.
Whipped cream on pumpkin pie,
Yeah,
yes. But I don't like it on anything else. But you know what? So many people buy their pumpkin pies. I will not eat store-bought pumpkin pie.
You do make good pumpkin pie.
I only like my pumpkin pie. And so many people love to just go out and buy a pumpkin pie, and I just can't. Ugh, I don't like it.
You make good pumpkin pie, dear.
Thank you, sweetheart. I like it too. But I like Cherry's my favorite, though. All right. So, what are your guys' thoughts at this point? Do you think that Seeley knew what she was doing and understood what she was doing? Because clearly she was thinking about a lot of stuff, and she did, if nothing else, she remembered exactly what she was supposed to do from somebody else. It's not that she couldn't remember things. So she was either remembering whatever somebody told her to do step by step by step, or she was doing all these step by steps and hiding it and remembering not to eat it and all that stuff.
Okay, so Val, you're heading out, and I wish I would have said this to everyone heading out. Comment. This is the comment I want you guys to leave when you come back. Should we keep on with the series? Leave that in the comments. Yes or no? When you come back and catch the replay.
Okay.
Because I love doing it this way. This is less taxing on me. We're just sitting here talking with you guys and going over this. This is awesome. I love having these conversations like this, and it's less editing. It's like, yeah, I had to get ready for the show, but this is the first one I did with the graphics and stuff like that. And putting the slides together, that's not a big deal. But
so Abra says she understood.
I think
knowing,
I think she did. I just want to know where that thought came from. So I don't know. Pie Wars. Apple, cherry, pumpkin.
I don't know. Paranormal Mama says maybe she wasn't as feeble-minded as people thought, and that's where I'm at. I don't think she was as feeble-minded.
Night, Valkyrie.
Night. I don't know. On his way out, Val says his favorite is apple, by the way.
Yeah, you're right, Andrew. The views on mental illness were quite different back then. Most people ended up in institutions.
Right.
They just got rid of them, I mean, look at the Kennedy girl.
Yep.
Gave her a lobotomy and locked her away and hid it from the nation for the longest time. But, yeah.
All right. Sid Hart says it's a good series. You should keep it on. And Val said they should do more like this because they're fun and neat. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, please, guys, after this is done rendering, if you guys could come back and leave those comments, that would be very helpful for us and for the channel. And I will be in your gratitude.
All right. So T-Throng says if she had autism, there are a lot of different levels and a lot of different life
that's
skills.
what I was thinking too. It was like some sort of form of Asperger's or something like that. I have a cousin who is autistic, and I've had some actually two guys that work for me that had forms of Asperger's, which is a form of autism. And they were very highly functional, very intelligent, but it was to the point, like the guys that work for me, I work in technology. They were very focused as far as like technology. That's like all they ever talked about. And if you would ask them a question, hey, what'd you do last night? I don't know, but I gotta go, and it was like they didn't defer from whatever they were on, and they were very highly functional, and it was just they weren't sociable.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe they didn't know how to term it back then.
Right.
But maybe that's what she was.
Yeah,
and I have that she had the mind of an 8-year-old. But
right. They're very. I've had a lot of students through the years that have had special needs, and for me, I've had about 3 of them that I think would be very much like Seeley, but I don't see them as being mentally like they have difficulties, but they can do things. They can understand things. They can learn things. They can grow. They have difficulty with social interaction and social situations, and that seems like what was going on with Seeley. She didn't have friends. She didn't know how to, talk to people, didn't talk to people, hid in the corner, sat on her rock, tried not to let people, know her. But at the same time, even those students that I've had that are like that, they still know right from wrong. They still, say, okay, I need to think this through because maybe that's not right. Maybe we don't do that. I actually had one this year, and he says, I really want to give you a hug right now. Can I give you a hug right now? You know?
So he knew to ask.
He knew he had to ask because that's not really, you don't really do that in high school, you know?
The level of pulling this off,
know,
it would take some mental planning
yeah.
that I don't see that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or it would be, okay, so say she did have autism or Asperger's, knowing if you are ever around anybody that's like that, they would have said something because they're running it through their head. They would have said, okay, well, I'm going to get this rat poisoning, or we're going to, you know what I mean? Or I need to kill dad, or, you know, something. It would have came out. They wouldn't have kept it to themselves.
A little too secretive for perhaps.
This the whole story behind that, and then this is why it's haunted, and this is why this is that. And I don't know. It just doesn't gel to me. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't. You know, I think what happened was if somebody put her up to it, what the motive would have been, who knows, okay? Somebody put her up to it or helped her doing it or something like that. And then the prosecution said, okay, she's the one who did it. What are we going to do with her? You know, and then they just said she's insane, and they locked her away in the mental hospital. That was it. Because she didn't any other crimes. There was no reports. And here's another thing, too. And if you said this, I wasn't paying attention because I'm watching all these screens. After she was arrested, I don't know if it was after she was arrested or when she was living with that family, she was missing the house. Like, she wanted to go home. She just kept saying, I want to go home, I want to go home. And, of course, they couldn't let her because that was a form of arrest. They put her under watch, you know. So it was like a house arrest type thing before they, sentenced her. So the lady, what was her name? Do you remember that she stayed with?
Olsted. Or something like that. Yeah,
they said, okay, we'll take you down to the house, Seeley. And if you covered this, stop me because I wasn't paying attention.
Go ahead.
To get to their house from where she was staying, they had to pass by the cemetery where the parents and the brother was buried. Freshly dug graves. Mm-hmm. Okay? They passed by the cemetery. Seeley looked over, didn't say a word. Was sad, didn't say a word. She knew that was their graves. Fresh graves. She was only concerned about going back to the house to see the little chickens. The little chicks that just hatched right before this happened. It's just... That was the only time she went back to the house. I feel bad for Seeley, even though she's convicted of a triple crime of killing her family. That's like, oh, but you kind of got to feel bad for her. Somehow somebody put her up to it, or gave her that thought, or she read that thought, and like you said, she had to know right from wrong.
She had to know.
She had to know be wrong to get, even if her passion and love was so much for God, why would you kill your family? And try to kill his family? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's getting late, and I'm starting to run at the mouth. Yeah.
But to me, I think that when her dad died and her brother died and her mom was still okay, I mean, she was sick, but she was getting better. If she would have thought about it and had remorse, I don't think she would have killed her mother. She would have been like, oh, okay.
Correct.
So I think she really, yeah.
Why did she do it?
Why would you do it again?
Second time and just knock mom off.
Yeah.
It's really, there's pieces missing in the story. It's an interesting ghost story, So, do you have any more that I'm missing? There's a whole lot there, but
you go here.
Once you look that over, I'm going to show you guys some pictures. Okay, I think some of them were in the ghost stories and folklore, but let me show you some pictures. This is a sketch of David Rose. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that is an actual photograph of Rebecca Rose, the mother.
Rebecca's the mom. Yeah. I don't know that we've actually said that her name was Rebecca. We just keep calling her
Yeah,
Mom.
I did it in the timeline.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a sketch of Walter Rose. I could not find an actual picture of him. Couldn't find an actual picture. Well, there is a picture of David Rose when he was younger. It's coming up. Okay, but not at
Or not when
the
he
age
was
that
older.
he died. And that is a sketch of Ceely Rose. Now this is an interesting picture right here.
Oh, yes.
Did you get to hold this?
I did.
Marianne got to hold this locket. I don't think I held it. I think I
You
took
didn't.
the picture.
You took the picture, yeah.
Okay. This is actually Ceely Rose's locket.
Mm-hmm.
She had till the end of her life.
Yes.
That is a picture of her mother, Rebecca, and that is a picture of her father, David, when he was younger. I think those two pictures could have been like their wedding pictures or engagement pictures or something like that. But that is a locket that actually belonged to Ceely Rose. When we went to do the ghost tour, and they still do this, folks, I highly recommend it because it was really cool. We're going to talk about it in tomorrow's video, but they have this there. I think they still have it there. The guy that runs
The
it
guy that
has
runs it has it, and he brings it to the events. So I would assume that they will still have it this year as well. It was really cool when he presented it. He's like, "This is her locket and everything," and I'm sitting there.
Of course, Marianne perked up.
I did. I did.
She's like, "Are you kidding?"
And I literally went, "Sweetie, I want to hold that.
I want to. Yeah,
I want to hold that."
She used that Italian whisper. I want to hold that.
And after the presentation was over, we were, people were gonna do bathroom breaks and things like that before we headed over to the actual Ceely Rose house. And I went up to the guy and I'm like, "Can I hold that?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." He handed it to him. I'm like,
Here, go ahead.
"Oh my gosh, I'm holding it." So
Lucky she didn't grab it and run away with it.
I know. I think he would have. Well, I don't know. He might not have caught me. I don't know. But I love coming into contact with things from these types of locations and events.
Yeah,
I don't know that makes me
filling
super.
up back here?
I don't know that makes me
Edison
super
roll.
super creepy
Stuff
or
over
just
there.
morbid. But I loved being able to hold that.
We were thinking about Marianne at some point, like later down the road, maybe doing her own series called Our Haunted Items or something like that, and she could feature
Things from
from the haunted place.
I think we'll just keep adding that to the My eBay or
Right.
or the My New Piece.
the My eBay segment.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So this is actually a picture of the Ceely Rose house.
Yeah.
This is the house where they lived when the murders actually took place. Ceely referred to this as Father's Cabin. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just next to it, not very far from it, is this house, which was Guy Berry's house.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
now-
not like sitting like right next door. Like today, we build our houses like bam, 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 right next to each other. But it was the next house.
Yeah, it was the next house.
Yeah.
You could see it.
You could
from
see
the
it
Ceely
from her.
Rose
You can
house,
see it
but
from her house.
It was kind of far from there.
I mean, it was probably what 2-3 football field, maybe
Maybe
two. Maybe 2 football fields away.
All right, so this is a picture of the mill that Mr. Rose used to run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the significance of what I'm getting up to here
Yes.
is the boards and that foundation right there from that mill was actually used to build that. That is the main barn on Malabar Farms. And we're going to do Malabar Farms again, maybe towards the end of summer if we do go back there and do that. I would like to go back and get some B-roll footage. Because there's a whole story about Malabar Farms just in general. About Louis Bromfield and all that. His daughter and that kind of stuff. So on the grounds of Malabar Farms, not only did they Louis Bromfield bought that property, but he also bought the same property that the Ceely Rose house is on. For some time, there were other families that lived in there. So if you watched our Ghost Stories and Folklore, there was a report of a little boy who lived in there, and he was upstairs and he was talking with a woman dressed in white that smelled like flowers. Now, we've said several times that Seeley used to go out in the woods, and I'm sure she collected flowers and stuff when she was
And she
out
had
there.
some that she took while she was going over to talk to Guy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that guy that had that locket that we just showed you
Mm-hmm.
is an author and producer of a play about the story of Ceely Rose that they put on in the barn on Malabar Farms. Okay?
The barn that they used planks of wood from the mill that Mr. Rose used to
Yes.
work, and that Seeley would kind of roam around and then not do much, but then she'd leave. But that the wood from that is actually used to build the barn where the play is held.
Yeah. And there's activity in that barn.
Yes.
Again, I put this in or Boris put it in the Ghost Stories and Folklore. But I think that's my last slide.
Yeah.
They talk about, and I don't want to give too much away because we're going to do this in our video, which I don't know when we're going to record it and get it put out there. But
It's all right. They're here. They get
Should
the
we tell them
previews.
now?
Yeah,
Okay.
they stick to.
we were there. We went to that barn.
Mm-hmm.
And while we were there was some creepy stuff going on while we were there. So basically, they put this thing on. They dressed in period clothing. And I think it was like the actors that were in that play. And they talk about the different families. They're like in the barn.
Yes.
Okay. We didn't get to go to Guy Berry's house, which is now used as a hostel.
Yes.
Ceely Rose's house used to be used for people who worked on the farm.
Right.
They'd stay there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But so the ghost tour, ghost hunt, whatever thing they put it on. What is the name of it? You remember? You just looked it up. Not too
It's
long ago. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Anyways, you go into the barn
Hauntings
and they're supposed to
all of it.
be around at different locations on Malabar Farms, and basically you go to those locations and they come out dressed in period clothing and tell you the story. The night we went, it was raining.
Yes.
So if you see the photos, and I never said or made any claims or anything, and we never did an evidence review where we put out our photos and said, look at these orbs and stuff, because it was raining that
Mm-hmm.
night. Okay. So I throw out the outside photos.
Night haunt.
Night haunt. I throw out the outside photos immediately for orbs or anything like that because of the rain.
Mm-hmm.
But since it was raining, we couldn't go to Guy Berry's house. They eliminated it for some reason. I think they couldn't get down to it or something.
And the cemetery.
And the cemetery
They
we couldn't get
eliminated.
to. So we want to go back
Mm-hmm.
to go to those places. So everybody was inside the barn. So while we were in there talking, and these are the claims that they have too at the barn, there was some weird, freaky stuff going on. We're standing there talking, and then over in a corner, a door just slammed shut, just for no apparent reason. It was raining. It wasn't windy. And there was nobody over there. We were all right there in the barn. I don't think that they, credibility-wise, I don't think somebody would have did that to play with everybody. You know what I mean? It was just while they were talking about the story of Ceely Rose, that happened. Then there was other stuff that was moving, like in the barn. Like, it would just swing out of the way. And we're like, holy crap, this barn's like so active. That's when we found out they said, yeah, the play was plagued
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning, from the time of rehearsals. they would have problems going on. The sounds, they would get ready for the production, test everything out, rehearsal, they get ready to play, would go to start, the sound system would go out. You know, or breakers would pop, or lights would go out, and light bulbs would explode, and things like that. So they were stirring something up while they were doing that play, which is really interesting. So she's been reported in the house, she's been reported in the barn, and she's also been reported in Guy Berry's house. Ghost hunters actually had that report about the feet getting tickled, and they tried to duplicate it in there. And I can't remember, Grant's the one guy, I don't remember the other guy's name. Him and his daughter were there, and he snapped a picture of something while he was laying in bed. She's also been reported at the cemetery. I think, this is my theory, that she didn't pass over guilt or fear of judgment. Okay? And as she was getting older, she kept sitting out looking for people to come her. She always thought that she'd be reunited with her family again. Like, she had that in her mind, and she just, as she got older, she got more and more drawn away from society, basically. So could she be looking for her family? Could she be looking for Guy? Could, you know, I don't know. What do you guys think? The potential's there. Why is the Ceely Rose house haunted? Well, there was a triple murder that took place.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
There you go. That's easy. Guy Berry's house. Why is that? Look, it's pretty close to it. I mean, she could be going over there. The barn, they put on the play. You know what I'm saying? Stirred things up. So the potential for the haunting is there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But there are still some missing pieces to this story, as far as what led her to do it, whether she was really capable of doing it on her own.
I understand the motive. Okay, I understand that motive. I get that.
The first one.
Yeah.
But I think that
but
since
how
Mom didn't die, why
come
she'd go a
across
second
doing
time.
the way she did it, you know?
I think that it might have a lot to do with what you mentioned, and attribute it to Lizzie being, you know, in the newspapers, and her being an avid reader. She probably did come across it and be like, poison, you know. But then she would have to have done more reading and more research to figure out how to do this, you know, poison stuff.
How did she know that arsenic would kill something?
Yeah, if she had a mentality of 8.
Right.
How would she know to use the rat poison and hide it in a pepper container? And how would she know to hide the pepper container when the crime was done? And those things bother me.
And why would she implement Guy at first and then retract it?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Because if he really did tell her to do it, you know, he would have, I'm sure, been like, oh my gosh, these people really did die because of what I said, or whatever. But if he really had something to do with it, why would she, at a mentality of 8, say he did it, and then all of a sudden, no, I didn't. No, he didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
You know, why would she change that? If she really was a mentality of 8, she would, I don't think,
in that document,
switch.
There was a section about the berries, because Pusa brought up a question about did they talk with Guy afterwards. I thought there was something in there about that, and I stopped you and jumped ahead. Which
oh, no, that's okay. That's all right.
But it was towards the end. It was something about the berries.
That's the lawyer.
You look for that. Can you entertain our folks a second? I'm out of
While
water.
I'm looking for something?
Yeah,
how good do you think I am?
You're good. You can do
I'm
it.
that good.
If I sit here with no water, it's going to get ugly.
I see. Well, I thought we were almost done anyway, but anyhow, Guy said that the Berries were indignant, and Mrs. Berry said there's not a word of truth in her statements that they were engaged. She is still on the subject of marrying and bothered Guy so much that he complained to his father that he threatened to leave the home unless Mr. Berry requested Mr. Rose to put a stop to the annoyance of Celia's trailing after him all the time. And he did not like her. He never did. Guy has a nice, sweet heart and would not have thought of marrying Celia if he had been of age, and he's not. By the way, I think he was only 18. 17, I get from the background there. He's from the kitchen yelling, he was 17.
Because he was underage and
he would not like her, and he is a good son. He knew we did not like her, and he is a good son. He was a handsome guy and talked freely of his acquaintance, but the poisoning of the members just kind of really messed with her. So apparently,
he was under.
She was not happy. She even afterwards that this would even be thought that there would be anything between them.
He was under the age of 18 because he needed permission to marry.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Teeth wrong, disturbing case. Maybe she was told not to eat when she was younger. Maybe Guy just wanted to get rid of her and the whole family because he was embarrassed. Okay. Pusha Studios, she would have followed what he or someone else had said, instructions, so to say, and still expect family to be okay because she didn't really understand the consequences. Sid Harth thinks that maybe someone else was involved. So,
I think there was somebody else involved too. Or Guy had more involvement with it. Here's another theory too. What if that conversation between Mr. Rose and Mr. Berry didn't really go well? And something happened, which is possible.
So what are you getting at?
The Berries had something to do with it.
So you think the Berries killed all the Roses?
Or said, hey, put that crazy little girl up to this, taking her parents out.
Interesting.
She had to get the thought from somewhere, somehow.
Yeah. So, did somebody talk to Guy afterwards as far as his involvement? He said he didn't have anything to do with it. But he was quiet, and they did eventually leave the area. Didn't Guy's family leave the area then?
Yeah.
So that's interesting that they picked up and did leave eventually as well. So I don't know how much his family was involved in the actual trial, but we do know that she was deemed mentally unstable. They said that she was found innocent or found guilty, but due to reasons of insanity, due to mental capabilities, she was not put in jail. She was sent to the hospital. So,
2 of them. She was sent to one originally, and then they transferred her to the state hospital.
So, Pusha Studios says he passed away a long time after. He must have said something to someone. And you know what? For as much as those types of the people in that time period put everything, every little last tidbit of everything in the newspaper and everything, even in the Lizzie Borden case, the people in the case who may have known something, they took things to the grave.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't wait till actually we do. I don't know how we're going to do the Lizzie Borden case in 2 hours. I don't know.
I think it'll probably be a couple days.
That might be 2 weeks. I don't know, because we know so much about, well, she does. We know so much about that Lizzie Borden case that would be a great discussion with you guys, where you could say, well, what's your theory behind? Because there's so many different theories and so many different. Oh man, yeah, like the maid. That's what you're talking about. The maid.
I am talking about the maid.
She took the actual story to her grave.
Yes.
And nobody's ever gonna know ever.
Yeah, and supposedly, well, we'll talk about it during the Lizzie case. We'll talk about the Lizzie case. They want to know exactly what Celia said in her confession of Guy's involvement. And it was that Guy told her that the parents wouldn't let them get married. And so he suggested that she get rid of them.
Teeth wrong?
Yes.
Were you here? Were you here the whole time, Teeth wrong? How they got the confession?
Teethrong was here.
I think you were here most of the time.
Yeah.
So it was like something in a conversation that she said. She came out and said that right off the bat, the first thing was that he put her up to it. Mm-hmm. And then the next day, when they came back and talked, it's like the day after, she said, "Oh no, that didn't happen."
Right.
Oh, and another thing, I don't think we ever said this. Okay, here's another thing too. When they first arrested her, they came in and arrested her and took her to jail. And they were questioning her in the jail because they were determining her mental state or whatever.
Right.
They questioned her about the murders. And she just originally was like saddened, and then she laughed. Like she laughed about it. And that's all in through the writings too. Which by the way, I'm going to tell you something here in a second, so stay tuned. But again, that could be like, and Pusha, you're still here. That could be like a defense mechanism. Like I do that too. My defense mechanism, if I get uncomfortable about something, I get sarcastic and I say something, like jokingly or something, whatever. That could have been something where she just laughed, and then the way they reported it was that she showed no emotion whatsoever and actually laughed about it. Yeah. And that's the media too, documenting what was going on.
And there, part of her confession was, "I was afraid Mother would detect the poison." The young woman continued in her alleged confession to Miss Davis, but she did not. After she ate all the milk, she got sick and began vomiting very bad. I could hardly help laughing. The poison was working so well.
Yeah. But that was reported in the newspaper. So was it embellished? Yeah. Who knows? So anyways, what I was going to tell you guys, panicd.com, and if you know our channel, you know we have this website, panicd.com. Mm-hmm. The Ceely Rose house, okay? And I'm jumping ahead. We don't even have to do a video tomorrow, but we're going to have to do it. So the way panicd.com works, and I have a link to this page in the description, is every location has a PanicD database number. So if you ever, like in my videos where I say it's PanicD number 1989, you can actually go to PanicD and type that number in right here, and it'll take you right to the page, okay? Or you could just search here. But in this case, I also link to it. And this is why we want the 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours, is so I can link to them from the videos, which is with the, whatever. Anyways, if you scroll down on the page, all this stuff like what Marianne's reading and the pictures and stuff is here under resources. So the actual reports, this unknown history, there's stuff in here. And there's a ton more that we have bookmarked. Mm-hmm. And a lot more that we have imprinted that we have to scan and take pictures and do that kind of stuff and link to this. So this is never going to be finished as database ever, not by me. And probably something happens to me, it'll go away. But it's a hobby of mine, basically, is what it is I keep adding stuff to it. And,
Now, if you noticed on the page when you had up there, that's okay. It says whether it's open to the public or not, and the Ceely Rose house is listed as no, because you can't just go up there and go in it. However, a couple times a year, they do tours from
You can walk by it. You can't just walk and go inside it.
Right.
You have to do it through the tour.
Yeah, they do some tours through Malabar Farm. They're called the Night Haunts, and that's the only way you can get in there. So, just for those of you who really, really, really want to go in there and visit. So, all right.
All right. Let's see how we're doing with chat.
I think that I'm going to be a pumpkin pretty soon.
I think our internet's starting to go wacko. So, hey guys, please, again, I don't want you to tell me right now in this chat, once this is done processing, if you like this series and want us to do more of these, come back after this video is done processing and leave us a comment and let us know yes or no. Did we waste too much time? Did I make a fool of myself? Did you like how we presented it? Did you like the format? That kind of stuff, because this is new.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we can get your opinions and see what
I love doing it this
switch.
way and getting your feedback and interaction instead of just
because
making a video
again,
and putting
it was like talking to you. You know, we were getting other questions and things to think about, and rather than just us presenting the information that we have.
And this is just a Ceely Rose case. I mean,
Right.
some of them go on and on and on. So we've gone like over 2 hours.
About 2 hours. Yeah.
And we had a little bit of fluff in there, but not much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so not fluff, just stuff that wasn't part of the case video.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Alright.
who's gonna go have some
Cottage cheese
night
Who's
right
having
now?
cottage cheese for breakfast?
I do have some cottage cheese in the fridge, dear.
I'm scared. I'm scared. I'll get it myself.
Maybe there'll be some pepper in it already. Just kidding. Pucha Studios, she is not deterred from having any just because of us. She has confidence that Andrew's not going to be poisoning her.
PSPR, I like it.
And your
Sean's
hair.
Thanks, buddy. I did just for you.
Okay. Flubbin Epic says that they're fluffy, so I don't know if that means fluffy hair.
Or do you mean this fluffy?
And in which case means you're gonna not want just cottage cheese. You're gonna want to add a bunch of other stuff
Could
too.
add some fruit
I don't
and
know.
all kinds of stuff to it.
I like my cottage cheese either plain or with peaches. Sometimes maybe some pineapple.
I will tell you this, folks. If we keep doing these live like this, okay, we're not going to give stuff away on these.
No, not
on these ones. Saturday, Let's Talk Paranormal. That's the ones that we'll give stuff away. Because that's more like a game show, and we'll have fun and play games and
game show.
That kind of stuff. And which I don't know what we're talking about. What are we talking about Saturday? Do you remember?
We're supposed to be having questions for our
questions
guests.
for the viewers. That's right. I'm going to have to do that.
Yes,
Dang
we got to
it.
come up with some questions to ask them.
I don't know when I'm going to do that. And I got to make the graphics.
Oh,
and
they
promote
can't
it
be
and
that
do
hard.
Tomorrow night's video, and we didn't do our podcast tonight.
No, we did not. I told you when we came home from work.
We're going to have to get caught up on Sunday doing a podcast. But, yeah, so Saturday we're going live again, and we're probably giving away something. I don't know what yet. But.
So T-Throng says that they were eating cherry pie when we talked about it, and that was kind of freaky.
This bigger?
I don't know. But then Siddharth says pineapples for me.
Pineapples and cottage cheese.
And Flub and Epic.
Might be good.
I eat pineapples with cottage cheese at school.
I can't eat pineapple.
But no, you can't. But Flub and Epic says fruit does not belong in cottage cheese. I like fruit with
my grandmother used to eat peaches and cottage cheese.
I like peaches and cottage cheese. Peaches and pineapples, but
the
separate.
The only peach I like is peach tea and coconut rum.
He does like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the only alcohol he'll drink, and he'll drink
it.
Only
alcohol you'll let me have.
In the summer, he'll have a little bit of coconut rum.
It has to be
with
diet peach tea. Can't have sugar in it because I can't eat sugar. It has to be this, has to be that. Now we're not sure about the whole gluten thing. Don't know what's going on, but yeah. All right, yeah. So we're going live again Saturday at 5. We'll have a video coming out tomorrow at some point where we haven't even recorded yet. I can't skip that because we got to do a location video to wrap up this week.
Yes, we do.
So tomorrow's going to be interesting. When we get home from work, we're going to have to rush, get that done. But there's not that much in it. You have some history, and we'll talk about our experiences.
Yeah,
we got some pictures to show them inside Ceely Rose's house.
Yes,
so
we do.
Tomorrow night's video is not going to be really that boring. We got pictures from inside the house and inside the barn and that kind of stuff we're going to show you. And then Saturday we go live at 5, and don't know what location we're going to do next week, but we'll leave people Saturday to decide that. Because, hey, our parapeeps, Teeth Wrong, you were there. I think most of you other guys were there too. Saturday, you guys picked Ceely Rose, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. One of these weeks, folks, we're going to take a week off of doing a location. We're not taking a week off of videos. But we might go live a few times during the week, and we're going to take you traveling with us to some places. Some local places we're going to start. We're going to start getting our travel wings on again. We got an investigation coming up. Next week. We'll take you there. We'll go live from there. It's on a Friday night, but we'll go live. Is it next week already?
Yeah, I think it is.
So maybe we won't do a location next week. Maybe we'll go live all next week.
Today's the 8th. Our investigation's next Friday, the 15th. So yeah.
So maybe next week we won't do a location. Maybe we'll just come on and go live a couple times, and then Friday night we'll go live from Madison Seminary.
PSPR says to take a week off and investigate with them.
Buddy, anytime, man. You know what? I forgot to ask Andrea. We saw her today too. Dang it!
I'll see her again in the morning.
Hey, PSPR. Can you guys go Friday night? We'll ask Andrew if we could get you guys in to Madison. She's going to see her tomorrow.
I'm going to see her tomorrow morning. How much were those?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I'll ask her in the morning.
It wasn't very much. I think it was $80 for both of us or something.
Okay. I'll see her in the morning. The lady who's doing it, she's a friend of ours, but her child, one of her children, is at the science camp that I'm doing. So I'll see her again in the morning when she drops them off. So live on location.
Yeah, next Friday night we're going to go live from Madison Seminary. Don't know how long we'll be on.
Yeah, we don't know because it'll be on our cell phones or whatever. We won't have the setup.
So you guys that are just meeting us for the first time. I mean, PSPR, we've been on a vacation. We talk all the time. I mean, daily, like all the time. We're like buds. But we met him at the Hotel Conneaut, him and his wife and Katie.
Yes.
Yeah. Katie, maybe. We'll ask her tomorrow to see if we get you guys in. I forgot we talked about that. And see, anyways, we tried doing YouTube with Dark Shadow Ghost Tours. We used to do a show every 2 weeks called the After Tour. Mm-hmm. And we had Mike Mazinko with us, and it was the three of us that we did it. And it started out doing the show after we did an investigation. Because we would take people, like 50 people. We took to Mansfield. We took 50 people to Hillview Manor. And then we would go through all of our stuff and do after tour, which means we presented our evidence and that kind of stuff. But it wasn't like this. Back when we did that, it wasn't like these lives with the chat. We didn't even have this chat in that before when we did that. So we had our own chat window on our website that people could come in and do the chat. But we never knew exactly how to grow the channel, how YouTube worked. And I just thought, well, we have so many people that's coming on the tour, they're going to check out the after tour and come in and see what's going on. And we never picked up. So it kind of dwindled off as like, why go through all the, every 2 weeks. It took a lot to prep for those shows and put it together and all that stuff. It was fun, but nobody was really watching it. So we actually took it a step further and was doing live feeds. We saw this on the ghost stuff, so we have the equipment to do this, where we're not going to do it at Madison, so don't get excited. Where we can actually set up cameras and you guys can actually watch while we're investigating, and then we pop on during an investigation. We did that at the Stagecoach Inn. We did it at J.C. Thompson House. We did it at Hillview Manor.
We tried to do it at the lighthouse.
Well, I was getting to that.
Oh, okay.
And then the last one that we tried to do was at Fairport Harbor Lighthouse, and we couldn't get cell signal. We couldn't get. We ran everything over our cell phones, and it just kind of like it didn't work up there. We didn't get it. So Madison, I say we're going to go live, but that's up north. I hope we could get cell signal from Madison to go live.
Yeah.
Long story getting to that point, but that was the last one that we tried. And it's pretty cool because we set up the DVRs. There's like no sound, but you can watch the DVRs. And then when we popped on live, people would say, hey, you didn't see this in that room or whatever. But now with this chat and this technology, if the way live streaming works, I want to do that. I want to get back in and take you guys out with us on an investigation. When we do an investigation, full-blown investigation, because we do it different ways. Her and I will go places and do covert investigations.
I do.
But when we rent a place and go do it, we want to do Hillview this summer. We're doing Madison, but we're going as somebody else is organizing it. So that's a little bit tricky to kind of pull that off. But when we rent a place and go do it, yeah. I want to do live. I want to bring you guys with us on investigation so to see what it's like. Mm-hmm. It's not what it's like on
TV.
You guys that do investigations, it's hours. Another thing, too, is everyone still here? They leave yet?
No,
everyone's still here. So here's another thing I got, too. We actually have audio recordings from the tour inside Ceely Rose's house and the tour that we took before we went. Well, not the that picture that I showed you guys of her holding that locket, we sat in the beginning and he told the story about that stuff. We have the audio recordings of that. So tomorrow night, late night, anybody who wants to join in, I'm streaming that stuff live as an investigation review. And I'll be in chat probably for that till I pass out. But so that's tomorrow after our video comes out. That's coming out. Then Saturday we're going live. So we got a lot of videos coming out in a short amount of time. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off. I think I need a week off next week after this weekend. I know you don't like me to do that. You don't want me to do that. Maybe I should delay it.
What are you delaying?
If we don't do a location next week,
yeah,
and do some live chats, like we're going to go live Friday, we'll probably go live Saturday with Let's Talk Paranormal. Do that live stream feed like Monday
of Ceely Rose
audio stuff.
You could do that,
so I don't cram it all into Friday. Maybe I'll do that. I won't do it tomorrow night.
Pusha Studios is doing some ancestry investigations now. She's hooked. She's doing it.
Genealogy.
She's doing it.
Genealogist. I wish you would have said something. I think don't we have an account? We got to pay for it. I can't remember where it's at.
You have an account. I see the bill come through every year.
It's Ancestry.com?
Yeah, but you've never given me any access to it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I got to find that again.
I see the bill come through. It's automatic all the time, but...
So here's another little story, since you guys are hanging around. Oh, I'll keep talking. You guys are helping us with watch time. So we're done with the story of Ceely Rose. But, here's another little story.
He says we should lower our friend in the back. He's been looking at his crotch for 2 hours.
Oh, we got a link for Guy Berry. Click on it. All right, so here's another... I have an account on Ancestry.com because I am the last male Donnelly in her family. We don't have kids. I have a niece. She's not a Donnelly. So my sister had a little girl, which is carrying on the bloodline, so to speak. But my sister and I don't know anything about our family before our great-grandfather Donnelly. My dad doesn't know anything about it. My grandfather Donnelly never talked about it. So my sister did a paper in college on, I can't say that word.
Ancestry.
Ancestry research. And she did some research, and we actually got the death certificate and birth certificate of my grandfather, Sylvester Donnelly. So you hear us talk about Sylvesters out in the garage. That's where Sylvester Conley came from when we do our Victorian wakes. It's the Victorian wake of Sylvester Conley.
I was going to wear that shirt tonight, and I didn't. I put this one on instead.
That's why he's named
Yes.
Conley, and I wrote the whole play around the Conleys.
Yes.
So a little play on
It's really
Conley,
fun.
Donnelly.
Someday we should all get
I wonder
together
if we could
and
do that live.
I don't know.
That would be a blast.
Super cool.
Pusa, if you're here, what do you think
She
about
is.
this?
She is.
This would be a blast. We put together a murder mystery dinner, and we do like a Google Hangouts, and all the characters join in with us, and we have people go into the chat, and we do a little play, a little maybe 1-2 act play type thing, and then they have to decide who did it. Oh, virtual murder mystery dinner.
There you go. There you go.
You heard it here, folks. That's my idea. But we could take the Conley family and do it virtually.
Yeah.
We
That'd
could.
be cool.
And we take the parts and send them to other creators.
Yes.
And then we connect with Google Hangouts and broadcast it.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do for Halloween.
There you go.
A virtual murder mystery.
Yes. We finally figured it out.
Figured it out. Is T-Throng still here? What do you think
Yeah.
about that, T-Throng? You were in the chat where we were talking about something for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
A virtual murder mystery dinner. How fun would that be?
That would be.
When I write the murder mystery dinners, none of the actors know whether they are
The killer.
They don't know.
Yeah.
And actually we could do it so where we use the little dig like who did it.
Mm-hmm.
People could vote.
Already looking forward to it.
Well, you guys are going to have to play a role. So I'll have to send you the script, and then you guys will have to play the role.
PSPR says I just trademarked it.
I wonder if I get trademark problem with the shirt on. I never thought about that. This is probably trademark. Does it say trademark on? No.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
I never
say
thought
it.
about that. Who cares?
I think he would probably
Freaking
enjoy the
YouTube.
advertising. Sidhart says that would be a cool idea too. That'd be awesome.
I think it would. I think it'd be really cool.
On Halloween,
On Halloween night. What night of the week
Let's
is that?
see. Halloween nights. Let's see.
What was that
June,
link?
July, August, September, October. October 31st is a Wednesday.
Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
We could start it off on Pusa Studios, and then they come to us afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Guy Berry's. Yeah, I did find it. Oh, so he's buried in Mansfield.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't leave. He didn't go very far.
Not far. Yeah, Mansfield's not that far.
Unless
from
they brought him back. Unless he died somewhere else and brought him back. Does it say where he died?
Akron.
He died in Akron?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is a little bit.
That's a little far.
That is a little bit farther.
He's buried in Lucas, Richland County. Mom is Angeline. Dad is George.
So Akron and Mansfield's about an hour and a half,
Mm-hmm.
I think. So he did back
By
then.
the way,
that's
that
pretty far.
information is from the link that Pusha Studios sent.
Pusa Studios, I am going to take that link and I'm going to link it right now.
To this feed? And
No, I'm going to put it in
to
Panic
the Panic
D.
D. Gotcha.
From Pusa Studios.
There you go.
You contributed to the database.
Nice. All right, so T-Throng says they're looking forward to it. Mona says, yes, do it. Flub and Epic says it's going to take some planning. But hey, that's months away.
Who said that? Flub and
Flub
Epic?
and Epic.
Take some play.
Yeah.
You know what? I've knocked out Murder Mystery dinner scripts in like a weekend.
Yes, you have. Actually, the one that we were talking about, the Conley one, we actually did in a hotel room at one of my conferences one year.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. We just knocked it out.
Yeah.
We have a formula that we use for our murder mystery dinners, and we've produced several of them.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about some of them is some stuff's improvised. Or a lot of it's improvised.
Most of it is.
So basically what we do with the script that we give to the actors is, like, you know, in your conversations at this point, work in saying this, and this, but don't say this, and this.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it's like improvised, and it's
right.
It's a lot of fun, especially when you got people that just come up with off the wall stuff in front of 250 people. It is hilarious. I'd lose it.
Yeah.
You know, but.
So we'll have to see if we're going to do that on Halloween or if we're going to do that the weekend before or the weekend after. I don't know. Halloween night is the 31st. It's a Wednesday. It'd be cool to have it on Halloween. But at the same time, we have to see what everybody's trick-or-treating schedules are and, you know, whether it's the end of the grade period for me.
Yeah. Well, it'll be close.
Look at that. Pusha Studios still looking into stuff. His first wife was a local. His second wife was from Ashland and died there as well. I love it. I love it. This is awesome. All right, so it's just about 12:30. I have to be at work at 7. So, and I'm a half hour away from work, and I have to deal with small children, which is not normal for me.
It's your last day, though.
I know, it's my last day, but I deal with high school kids for the most part. These are 1st grade through 6th grade kids that I have to deal with. They take a little bit more energy.
Pusa Studios.
Thanks you for adding them to the site.
Pusa Studios. Your YouTube channel is Pusa Studios, right?
Yes. Yes, last day for the science camp. It's been fun, but again, small kids is a lot more to deal with than I'm used to. So ours is 1st grade through 6th grade for science camp. So
Pusa Studios just got
added.
I need to edit that now to make it clickable.
Yeah.
2093. Oh, man.
He's like over here like flipping through all kinds of screens, adding stuff to the
don't
panic
watch,
database. So, yeah, it's very cool. Science camp, yes, teeth wrong. We did our school, we have Camp Invention. And so they've basically been doing all kinds of little projects. They've been taking care of some pets, and they've been making robots and things like that. So it's been pretty fun. They get to create.
Cut it out.
They get to create all kinds of stuff. So. All right. So are we going to wrap? Or you want to wait? Okay.
I want to show him this.
Okay. He wants to show you something first.
I didn't finish the code.
He didn't finish the code. Did you refresh?
Yeah.
All right.
There we go. All right, Pusa Studios. Here's another little shout out to you. It'll be there for eternity. Wait, where's that screen?
I don't know.
I need this screen. There's another screen open somewhere. Let's see if... Oh, there it is. Let me refresh this one. All right, when you scroll down, right there.
You don't see the mouse on that screen.
Can't see the mouse.
Can't see the mouse, but
that
the
last
last
one, it
the
says
last
Guy
link there.
Berry Grave, thank you, Pusa Studios, and it's clickable, and it takes you to
Hopefully
your channel.
Yay.
All right, so you got a link in the Panic D database.
Look at that.
All right. So that's how I link to you guys too. I mean, and I also, when I work on these locations, if I find that other people have videos that's related to these locations, I just don't put ours. I put there's links to it too. And,
there it went. Okay.
Stuff like that. It's just a database collecting all that, and I'm talking to the camera, and the camera's not up, so it's time for us to go because I'm starting to get punchy too.
Yeah, Teeth Wrong, there is not a camp currently for the adults. However, I have been asked on several occasions to do a forensic science one, so maybe
she teaches
someday.
Forensics.
Maybe someday I'll put one together for
I
adults.
get the guest teaching forensics sometimes.
You do? Yeah, every other year or so. I have you. It's been every other year so far.
I get the guest teach.
He does. I have him come in and do cyber forensics for our guest
and
speaker.
that freaks the kids out.
It does, especially when you show them the stuff that they think is hidden.
I show them how Snapchat doesn't go away.
Yeah, it creeps them out.
Yeah. I show them how I go watch what they're doing on the network. That freaks them out too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, folks.
All right. Well, thank you
very
so much for
joining
coming.
us. Like I said, after this is done processing, please come back and leave us some comments. I appreciate it. And we don't have a schedule for these, so if you have Twitter, please follow along on our Twitter, and I normally announce them, and I'll do it on that week if we continue with them. It's up to you guys, We'll keep doing them this way. I like doing it this way. It's less for me because I just hit that stop stream. I think I hit that stop stream. I think that's what I do. I don't know. We're gonna find out here in a second. Wait, let me see if I have that screen up. Yep, I do. Okay. So, do you have anything else, dear?
Just thank you so much. Everything was
you.
really awesome.
Thank you for
we
joining
loved
us.
bouncing the ideas along with you. Got some new information for the database. You guys are all awesome. I love it. So thank you very much for coming on a late night journey with us through the Ceely Rose case.
Yeah, it was a blast. Yeah. It was a blast. Okay, hey, until next time.
Thanks for watching.
And happy hunting.
Good night.
If you like this episode of Behind the Haunting, make sure you hit that like button and leave us a comment below. Also, if you'd like to see more videos from Panic D videos in the future, make sure you subscribe and ding that bell so you get notified the next time we post a video or go live.